Other interesting political news, you have Christie on CNN saying he's the only one, quote unquote, taking aim at Trump, unquote, which is a statement perhaps as delusional as his diet, since more and more Republicans are starting to attack Trump because there are points to be made in the polls. That is a way to gain some people. The never-Trumpers exist as a part of the Republican Party. So Christie, I think he was one of the first to be so against Trump. That was kind of the whole basis of his campaign, or is the basis of his campaign. He's still technically running, but it is funny to hear. Oh yeah, he claims he's the only one, but not really. So, nevertheless, if you have suggestions for picture-in-picture production software technology, I'd greatly appreciate it. Currently using OBS open source software with a Razer Hican 4K camera, and I'm having issues with the camera working with the actual picture-in-picture software. So if you have suggestions, I would appreciate it, because I do want to show this. I know for your eyes and your safety, you're perhaps happy you don't have to see Christie for this particular segment of the show, because it is unflattering to say the least. But nevertheless, I do want to improve the show, and I've heard from the feedback that that's something the folks are looking for. So I appreciate any suggestions you may have. Now, the text before the video, Christie says, quote, "Our campaign is the only one that has taken direct aim at #RealDonaldTrump since day one, and we've never varied. Others want to have it both ways. On one hand, they'll support him as a convicted felon. On the other hand, they'll criticize him. As America's next president, I'll be a convenient truth teller every day." Unquote. And again, let me know how frequently you want me to cover the poll averages. There are a couple aggregator websites, and if you want, we can do that as a daily thing. But last time, I believe you've been doing the summary every Friday, and last time we discussed it, Christie was still about 3% for the Republican nominee. Trump is about 58%. DeSantis is usually around 14%. Nikki Haley and Vivek usually between 7 and 9%. They kind of go back and forth. But Christie has consistently increased from about 1% to 3%. So it's growing in terms of his campaign and the number of people who are supporting. But again, will he be the next president? I'm not a gamble. I guess you could say I'm a gambling man because I invested myself in the business. That's a big gamble. But I'm not a traditional gambling man. But if I were a gambling man in that regard, I wouldn't place money that Christie is going to win. But nevertheless, we'll play this brief segment. And he looks right at home on CNN, I believe. And he is phoning in from New Jersey.
You know, the fact is that we've run a very aggressive campaign. We're the only campaign that's going right at Donald Trump from the day we got in and never varied. You know, there's other people who want to have it both ways. They want to support him when raise their hands, even if he's a convicted felon. On the other hand, they want to go after him, and every time they say, one little criticism, the national media gets all crazy. We have been consistent and strong, and that's the kind of leadership America needs right now. Someone who's a truth teller consistently every day.
Now, to his credit, albeit small, they have been consistent. DeSantis was more of a slow critique of Trump. And then same with Nikki Haley and a couple other Republican nominee candidates. I mean, as far as I can tell, the only candidate or Republican nominee candidate that isn't actively against Trump is Vivek Ramaswamy. Everyone else is very much critiquing Trump. So it is true, Christie, from day one, he was getting the never-Trumper voters. So he was going very against Trump because, again, there are people in the Republican Party who will never vote for Trump, but they're still Republican. So they'll vote for Christie in these nominees or these polls for the nominee. But again, I don't think there's enough of those people to actually win the Republican nominee for the upcoming election. But let me know. Would you support Christie? But let's go in the comments. I can't help but wonder. Again, Christie, I probably spent 15 minutes on the last tweet that we covered about Christie because I didn't think it would be that bad in terms of, I was convinced there had to be one person who had a positive response. So we went all the way to the bottom of the comments and all the way back up, hundreds of comments. Not a single one supported Christie, which means not even his family or his staff campaign around Twitter, it's almost statistically impossible to get zero positive responses on Twitter. we very well may need to reach out to the Guinness World Book of Records for the most ratioed tweet ever. When Chris Christie, I believe it was last week, had another tweet, and just not a single one was supportive of him. So I can't help but guess, and again, it'll be a surprise, I haven't seen the comments yet, I'm going to guess 90% negative. Again, I'm not saying there's not people who don't support him, I'm just saying on social media, on this specific platform, most people just don't seem to exist. So without further ado, let's dive into the comment section and see what they have to say. Someone by the name of Dan Goho said simply, "Bah ha 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 ha," unquote, which I suppose is how some people laugh. He did get 20 likes for that. And his profile, I was going to say, Mr. Don's profile pronouns specifically are he, haw. Which, I can't help but wonder, is that cultural appropriation from Texas? Because it should be yeehaw. Nevertheless, he's not canceled yet, some might say. Someone by the name of Dabble Much said, quote, "You weren't taking direct aim at Trump while you were sitting in his lap hoping to get a cabinet post. What took you so long to call him out?" Unquote. The person got 4 likes. Alpha Omega simply gave an emoji response of a middle finger. They got 3 likes. Stacy Phillips says, quote, "Oh, Chris, you'll never be America's next president. Never." She got 59 likes. Someone by the name of Ron Vinning saying, emoji, curious looking. So, curious emoji. So Christie is only running to bring down other Republicans, not to challenge Democrats. Have you read that? So Christie is only running to bring down other Republicans, not to challenge Democrats. Unquote. Got 19 likes. Someone by the name of Twitter Chica, who does get an A+ for marketing because she is on the Twitter, and it is of a Spanish dancer is a profile picture. It makes sense, on point, on brand. So she says, quote, hashtag Jake Tapper, hashtag Chris Christie has something in common, unprecedented unpopularity. Chris Christie left New Jersey with a historically low approval ratings, 15%. Tapper had the lowest ratings in CNN history. Chris and Jake equal losers who only sad refrain is, quote, but Trump, unquote. She got 26 likes. Sydney Vandergrift did a GIF, or a GIF as you might call it, in which they have the caricature from Austin Powers, I believe it was the large man, simply saluting, saying, yes, sir, getting 9 likes. Gary Lay simply says, quote, oink, unquote, got 16 likes. RC4 Liberty said, quote, 3% attaboy, unquote, getting 8 likes, which is a reference to Chris Christie's current polling numbers. Melissa Dawn said, quote, you've never varied from the grift. You're getting paid by some rhino, and you're butthurt that Trump didn't want you, unquote. Got 51 likes. Setting the record straight said, quote, you're also probably... This is awkwardly texted. Let me rephrase this. Well, let me reset that really quick then. Quote, you're also grammar be damned, some of these tweets. Nevertheless, third time's a charm, I'm told. Setting the record straight says, quote, you're also probably also the only one who takes Democrat donations, unquote, getting 59 likes. Someone by the name of B Rads says, quote, how's that strategy working out for you, unquote, getting 27 likes. A lot of people calling him Rhino, getting 20 likes. John Culture says Rhino getting 32 likes. Brandy White said, quote, at 2% you have no campaign. You're just a paid mouthpiece that overeats. And this person used a GIF of Chris Christie eating a donut. I got 29 likes. I'm trying to see. Dumpster Fire simply said, wait, you're still running? Laughing emoji. Got 32 likes. I'm trying to see if they're the real needle haystack. Can we find one positive response? Let's see. Carlos DeParo says, quote, "That's why you're losing, LMFAO. It seems like all the Republican candidates, except one, are focused on Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, and Trump. That's pretty much sums up all your campaigns. You know what's missing? You know what's missing? How about America? That's why none of you deserve to be president," unquote. Getting 27 likes. And on an ADHD note, it is annoying where the text, you have to click to expand the text sometimes because there's so much text and there's just one extra word. But nevertheless, Sandra Anderson says, quote, "You're a disgrace, go away," unquote, getting 31 likes. A lot of people, dear God. I don't know if this is real. Somehow there's a video of Christie dancing. It is not attractive. And I don't know if this is AI generated, but the fact that he's wearing tight clothes, dancing, I don't know who his publicist is. But considering how much money he makes, and supposedly someone is running his campaign, presumably there's someone in marketing, and they're allowing. I don't know who told him at the time it's a good idea to go dance. Dirty Prune says, quote, "Maybe you can pick up the Pence voters and get over that Austin 5% mark. Just give it a rest, Tubby. You'll never, and I do mean never, going to be president," unquote, getting 35 likes. Okay, there's a lot of people calling him pejorative names because of his weight. A lot of people saying rest in peace his campaign. Wait a minute. There has to be one positive. A lot of people calling out his 2 to 3% favorability, or his 2 to 3% that he's polling at for the Republican nominee in these polls. A lot of people saying, let's see here. Oh, gotta love advertisements. Except for the awesome advertisements like Topping Technologies, the best IT value-added reseller and services company in the world. Probably. Haven't been fact-checked yet. But go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn a little bit more about our premier sponsor. Me. Nevertheless, back to the show. I'm scrolling. We may very well be able to get to the very bottom. A lot of people saying that's why you only poll at 2-3%. A lot of people saying 70 cents is greater than 1 cent, perhaps in regards to campaign raising campaign funds. A lot of people calling him to drop out. Thanks for the gas tax. Yawn. A lot of people referencing Porky the Pig saying oink oink. This may very well be another one. A lot of people saying, I missed the conviction, Mr. Attorney, getting 2 likes. That's from Rudy. A lot of people saying, I didn't know, Trump was a felon. He hasn't been convicted yet, given his day in his court. A lot of people saying, be like Pence, go away. Some of these are... Mr. Watts says, I can almost smell the diabetes, unquote. We're getting to the bottom of the what do you call it? Got to the very bottom of all the comments. All you talk about Trump is nothing else. Jelly Boy Donut, loser, go away, Porky. Dude, go away, you have 0 chance, 1%. And not talking about body fat. That's perhaps the most entertaining one I've seen in a couple scrolls. A lot of people are doing screenshots of the actual, the polls, and it's not looking good. Or the average. There has to be one. A lot of people are using AI to create pictures of him as Porky the Pig or some rendition of that. A lot of people saying, drop out. More comments than likes, hilarious. It's done wonders. You have no other platform. How's that working for you, Mr. 1%? Who ate Krispy Kreme? No chance of being president. Again, It did only out of the 76,000 people who viewed that video, only 949 people liked it. So it's more liked than a Bud Light tweet. So that's something. But I'm wondering if I can actually get to the very bottom. All right, there's the bottom of the tweet responses. Your campaign is at 2%. Do Southern Republican Party for once. Drop out. No chance you'll be president. We did it. We got to the very bottom. Not a single positive response for Chris Christie. Where'd you get? At least tell your staffers to get on the platform at the very least. I mean, supposedly he has a campaign staff, right? He's supposed to be running for president. Allegedly. That is astonishing. He is 0 for 2. Not a single positive response. That is almost mathematically impossible. And twice in a row. Not to brag, but I got at least 2 positive comments on one of my YouTube videos last week. There's a lot of negative, but the positive comments they did exist. So there's that. It'll be interesting to see how this affects him in the campaign, but I can't help but think maybe he's topped out. Do you think he can actually take some of the votes from Pence as Pence has dropped out? Can't help but think as DeSantis is increasing his rhetoric against Trump and starting to bring up more use cases of Trump's mistakes, people who were supportive of Chris Christie might start to go for DeSantis now. Maybe. I think that is more likely. But as I always say, time to tell. Let me know in the comments, would you switch your vote? Actually, that'd be a good, fun question. Do you know anyone who is voting for Chris Christie when they have all these polls, when they're asking who they want for the Republican nominee? Do you know anyone at work or anywhere who would be a supporter of Chris Christie? And if so, why? Is it because specifically he's anti-Trumper? Which again, that's the lane that he's chosen politically speaking. And of the 3%, again, 3% relative to the U.S. population, I mean, that's still a fair amount of people. It's not enough to win, but it's more people than like this video, perhaps. Like the video and perhaps prove me wrong, hopefully. And again, I'm not a scientist, but the cure to my stutter may very well be clicking the subscribe button. There. Not Mayo Clinic study or anything, but I can't help but think the more subscribers we've gotten, the less I've stuttered in general. Go back. You think my stutter's bad now? Look at a couple of the first episodes. It was pretty comically bad. Perhaps that was a joke the whole time. I wish. No. Nevertheless, I can't help but think Chris Christie is in deep trouble, and it's not getting better anytime soon. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, the comments are a great way to help me make the show better and better, as your feedback is greatly appreciated as well. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.